If you're in business, I mean, if you're not reading or studying or learning in your field for 30 to 60 minutes per day, you got a tough slog ahead of you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Richard. Welcome to A Better Lifestyle. Today's topic, we're going to talk about business. And I have the pleasure to have Jack Gibson with me. And he's a successful businessman. So I think it's going to be an interesting topic. So we're going to talk about a little bit about business and creating wealth. And so that's what we're going to talk about. So please, Jack, please tell everybody who you are, who Jack Gibson is, and about maybe a brief resume of who you are in 2 minutes, and we'll get started.
Hey, Richard, thanks so much for having me on your show. It's always an honor to be asked. So I appreciate the opportunity to share with your listeners. And I've been in business for 25 years now. Actually started when I was 19. I was a freshman in college at a small liberal arts college in Michigan, Southern Michigan. And I get this flyer while I'm sitting in my dorm room playing video games or whatever I'm doing to waste time as a college kid, right? And it completely transformed my life. It was an opportunity in the nutrition field and supplement business. At the time when I first got the flyer, I'm like, no, I'm not interested. Like, I don't really want to do anything else. I'm comfortable. I don't want to go sell. That's uncomfortable. I just want to be a college kid, drink beer, chase girls, try to get some decent grades to keep my parents off my back, right? so, but I had bigger vision for my future. I wanted to be in business. I wanted to create something special to where I could have time freedom later in life. So the opportunity, it came disguised as hard work, which all opportunity typically does. I jumped into that business part time while I was going to college. Just started selling products. The real, the real pivotal day, Richard, was working on my uncle's farm. I was clearing off debris. Like he had just bought 50 so acres of new farmland, and he already owned like 500. So somebody's got to go clear off all the sticks and all the limbs and debris, right? So I was that guy. So I spent, I don't know, 20 hours. It was terrible work. And I get done. I turn in my timesheet. He gives me $100. And I'm like, are you kidding me? That was the worst work I've ever done. It was so hard. And I get and lonely and discouraged, like it's just discouraging work. And I get $100, and I just sold a nutrition program for $200, made $100 profit, which took me 15 minutes. Right then and there, I said, I'm never working for anybody again. Profits are better than wages. I'm going into business. and so that's where it started. And I've never looked back. And now I have 5 companies.
Okay. Wow. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. But it's also a blessing and a curse, right? Because starting up businesses is very difficult. It's takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of focus, and it's very hard and it's discouraging. And so, yes, there's some parts that are great and some parts that kind of suck. I'm always honest.
At least that's good. uh, my first question is then, so how does someone create wealth now in this day of age, and if they want to achieve financial freedom?
Yeah, so there's 3 simple habits to create financial freedom inside of a decade, and I'll give them to you real quick. Number one, very simple, but not easy to do, which is the problem and why most people don't do it, is live on less than you earn. Sounds great. Sounds simple, but we also get 10,000 marketing messages per day that are thrown at us. All of those marketing messages are now hyper targeted based on our interest as well. Well, most of them anyways. So now we're seeing messages that, you talk about, it's crazy. You talk about a pair of Adidas tennis shoes with your wife, and then they show up on your Facebook feed. Like, what's going on? How does that happen? Well, Alexa's listening in on your conversation or something, right? So we get all these marketing messages. So it does make it tough. We want to keep up with the Joneses. We see on social media all these people that are living these incredible lives, and we want that now instead of delaying gratification and getting it later when we're actually financially in a position to be able to do it responsibly. So that's habit number one. Habit number two is focusing on increasing your skills, and that will inevitably lead to a higher income. Out of the two, to me, it's very simple math. The math dictates which of the two is more important. There's no ceiling, there's no cap on how much money you can earn. It's only a function of your own imagination, vision, and hard work. Whereas you can only cut back so far to where then you cut back too far and now you're not going to be able to stick to it. It's like a hyper restrictive diet. If we cut it back too much and we don't give ourselves any, immediate gratification, then we've gone too far and we won't be able to stick that and sustain that. Right. So we've got to be able to create something that's sustainable. And typically you can only cut back to a certain point of which, you're going to bust. Just like, I can't take it, I surrender. And then you just go on a spending splurge. Same thing that people do with diets, right? So I think the focus is more on step two. You got to have step one. You got to have that fundamental down. You got to be able to live on less than you earn. But step two, this is where we can really score. We can really create some big, swings in wealth. And then step three, habit number three, is take that extra money that you're banking and invest that into assets that are going to create additional streams of recurring revenue. I like real estate. There's other assets though that you can buy that create streams of residual income. So real estate is well over 50% of my total portfolio because of the stability of the asset class. It has 5 different wealth accelerators instead of 1 or 2 like most other assets. It holds its value. It's finite in supply. Those are all things that make me love real estate. But for example, I mine Bitcoin so I can create a stream of passive income off of mining Bitcoin and participating in the blockchain network. And so we want to be doing those 3 steps over and over and over again. And then over the course of time, your passive income will eventually be so great from these streams of income that you have, you're financially free. And that's when the income that you have from your assets covers all of your normal month-to-month living expenses. Mm. That's the playbook. That's what I followed, and we're financially free.
So one of the challenges in business is raising capital. So how does someone overcome that obstacle, and what are the different avenues for someone to raise capital?
I've bootstrapped most of my companies except for my real estate company. That's a very capital intensive business, but I've bootstrapped, and for the listener, what does that mean? I didn't know what that meant when I first heard it, right? That just means when you're bootstrapping, you are utilizing your own funds to invest into your own business. Like you don't have outside forms of capital coming in. You don't have loans. You don't have anything like that. So I bootstrapped 4 of the 5 operations. Now, how do you raise capital? Well, you got to have a Rolodex of people that know, like, and trust you. And how do you do that? That takes time. That's how you show up as a human consistently over a course of several years. That's you being interested in other people instead of trying to be interesting. You're interested. Building up relationships of people that know, like, and trust you is how you raise capital. I've got a guy who was referred to me by a longtime friend, Gary. Gary, we've done business together. He's bought real estate from me. I bought computers from him. We're friends. He likes the way that I operate in my principles for my life, right? He knows that he can trust me. So he sent me Bob, and Bob's a whale. So I got a $2 million line of credit from Bob for our real estate business. It's amazing. Now I have other investors or other people that I could go to, but I don't really need to because that's enough, line of credit to do what we need to do in that business. And then on top of that, I bootstrapped that business myself in terms of like a lot of the startup, a lot of the things that we did initially. It was just, me taking profits from my sales and reinvesting back into my business. So I think, like, in terms of an entrepreneur that's listening that wants to grow wealth, we have an $8 million net worth. I'd say about 60% of that is in our private businesses. So building up your own private business, increasing the revenue, increasing their earnings, that's the fastest way to grow your own net worth, because, well, you own 100% of that equity. Whereas when you invest in other people's companies, aka stocks or whatnot, then you're investing into something that you have no control of and you don't have 100% equity of. So I like building teams, driving revenues, and forcing my wealth up with my own skills and actions versus just waiting passively and waiting for 40 years for other people to drive my wealth up.
So what do you say to someone who wants to become an entrepreneur? They're how can I say that? Uh, they don't feel like they have the spirit of an entrepreneur, but they want to get in business. What would you say to them?
Don't do it then. No, I'm kidding. Well, here's the thing that you have to have realistic expectations in going in as an entrepreneur. You have to know this. I just actually created a post, and it's an attention grabber, right? It's a short form video reel on Instagram, and I said this is going to be released in the next couple of weeks. I don't know how it'll do, but I said building 7 and 8 figure businesses has been very easy for me. I'm always featured on, in Forbes magazine or Inc magazine, right? And then I said, no, I'm kidding. Realistically, it takes me 5 years to build a business, like to where it's profitable and I have excess cash flows kicking off, and that it turns into where I say, oh yeah, it's worth it. So as you're looking at being an entrepreneur, you have to know going in, there's 3 stages that you're going to come into. Stage 1 is it's not worth it stage. This is where you're putting in 10 units of work and you're getting 1 unit of pay. And you're thinking to yourself, man, I was really stupid for having done this. I'm putting in all this time and energy and money, and I'm stressed out, and I'm not making squat. I'm not getting paid for the time I'm putting in. That is stage 1. You have to go through stage 1 in any entrepreneurial business. You cannot escape it. I don't know how long it'll last. For some, it's short. For some, it's very long. Probably for most, it's somewhere in between. At least a couple of years. And you have to work through that pain, so to speak. Stage 2, this is where you say, oh, yeah, it's starting to be worth it. You're putting in 10 units of work and you're getting 7 to 10 units of pay. You're starting to say, this is starting to happen. I'm starting to kind of get my groove, right? And then stage 3, this is the ultimate entrepreneurial dream. This is where you say, I'm not worth this much. This is where you're putting in 10 units of work, you're getting 100 units of pay. This is where you're putting in 1 unit of work, you're getting 100 units of pay. This is where you're putting in 1 unit of work and you're getting 1,000 units of pay. This is where you say, wow, like I'm living the dream. And then typically, if you're really an entrepreneur, that's when you say, I got an itch. I want to do it all over again. And then you go do it all over again, and you go through the pain of stage 1 and question yourself and say, why did I do it?
So what are it's nice the way you put it the way you put it together. So what would you say are key traits of an entrepreneur?
Number 1 trait you have to have as an entrepreneur: persistence. If you have persistence, you can make it. If you don't have persistence, you just can't make it as an entrepreneur. So persistence isn't a skill. It's not anything that you need to go take a class, read a book, get a coach to do. Like, persistence is just you getting knocked down and getting right back up, getting knocked down, getting right back up. 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. Solving problems, getting hit with problems that you didn't even know were possible. Because when you start a business, you got to remember, like, you're probably going to suck at it. Okay. Because if you're anything like me, you suck at everything that you first start. So when I first started playing golf, terrible. First couple of years of marriage, I was pretty awful. First couple of years of fatherhood, I was bad. First couple of years in business, very, very bad. So there isn't anything that like I've done that I look back on. I'm like, oh yeah, right out of the gate, I was good. No, I was always bad. I didn't have the skills. I didn't have the experience. I didn't know what I didn't know. And that's what happens. You get into a business and you just did not simply know what you didn't know. And you have to learn that through experience, trial and error, taking your hits, getting back up. So 100%. Napoleon Hill said it in his classic Think and Grow Rich. He said, if there's one quality that you could have, it's persistence, because this will enable you to overcome the dark shadow that seems to follow you around all the days of your life and thwart your every effort. That's how it feels as an entrepreneur. You got this dark shadow that is sabotaging you, and you have to be able to win out against that, that whatever that is, that sabotaging your success. You have to stay long enough to where that just gives up, and then you win.
So what would you say because business is what any success is about longevity. How does someone pass the test of time in business?
I think the most important thing is to build teams. I just I texted my partner in self-storage. It's one of my 5 companies. I run a company that we help investors to invest as a syndicate. So these are higher earners, higher accredited investors, higher net worth investors that want to get stronger and safer returns on their capital. And my self-storage fund is typically delivered 22 to 28% historical returns the last 12 years. So I don't really know too many places that you can place your capital where you can get that kind of return. And historically speaking, it's been pretty spot on, right? It's been on point. So I said, okay, so he had $1 billion. He has almost on the cusp of $1 billion company. And I said, like, well, what's your key? Like, how did you do this? It's amazing. I mean, I'm not even close to $1 billion company in any of mine. And even totaling all 5 up, it's not even anywhere near that. And he said, find great partners. And I have to look back at my successes, and my business success is because I found great partners. I have created relationships with great quality people that have shared values. So our shared values are what get us through and help us solve problems when adversity strikes. And if you're growing a business, adversity will hit. It is inevitable. So your partnerships, your teams, you have to have shared values so that you guys attack and operate from the same mindset and the same ways of being, doing, and acting, right? So that's the most important thing in my book is if you want to be great in business, build great teams, and that all comes from first finding great partners.
The economy might go through some rough times in the next few months. Might. So we'll see what's gonna we'll see what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Are there great opportunities in these times, and what can people do to prepare themselves?
Oh yeah, these are the best of times for those that are prepared. I mean, look, in these types of times, assets go on sale, right? Good quality assets are on sale right now at screaming bargain basement prices. Bitcoin is at its what would look like at its market bottom. I don't know that. Nobody knows that for sure. But Bitcoin is trading right now at 20,000 and the realized price of Bitcoin is 23,300, which simply means that that's the average cost basis of everybody that's in the market. They're holding Bitcoin for an average cost of 23,300. So that typically is where Bitcoin bottoms out, where people don't want to sell it because they don't want to lose. They want to wait for it. They'll just hold it and wait for it to go back up above their cost basis, right? Just simply just investor psychology. It makes sense. If I'm holding Bitcoin at a cost of 23 and it's at 20, I don't want to sell it. I want to wait till it goes back up. So that's just giving an example. That is a great opportunity to accumulate more Bitcoin, more Ethereum, more crypto at very bargain basement prices. Same thing's happening in the stock market. Stock market's down 25% as a whole. That's the time where most people make their money, is if they buy into these types of market weakness. The most dangerous times to be buying is when the markets are flying high. That's when you're at most risk, but that's also when you feel most comfortable. So you need to go against your emotions, go against your grain, and act what appears to be not in your self-interest of protecting yourself, but you're actually protecting yourself and hedging yourself and lowering your cost basis when you invest into the markets when they've dropped like a rock. And the same goes in business. This is going to be tougher times, but it also is an incredible opportunity to accumulate more market share in your business because other people may be playing it safe. They may be retreating. They may be dropping their advertising spend. If you can stay aggressive and really getting after it right now, it's a great time to be growing your business and positioning yourself. Even if you're not growing it, if you're just staying in the game, you're positioning yourself for the next market boom, then you're doing the right thing.
By the way, I just want to say a disclaimer. This was not financial advice. So please do your own research before you make any decisions.
Yeah, 100%, man.
So if someone is not winning right now at the moment in business and financially, what would you say to them? Like they're dealing with all kinds of adversity, challenges,
self-doubt, adversity,
obstacles,
just can't really see the light at the end of the tunnel. I would say you're doing the right thing. You're doing the right thing. Like if you're in that position and those are the things that you're thinking, you're part of the 3% club that's willing to do the uncomfortable, that's willing to go against the grain, that's willing to step out of your comfort zone and take on a greater level of pain. There's nothing great that happens in life without a level of pain. Go to the gym. What happens? I lift weights. It hurts. It burns. I break down my muscle tissue is what I'm doing. I'm breaking it down so that then I have good quality protein, grab my good quality post workout shake, right? That comes in, rushes in, and what does it do? It's just it's repairing those tiny little rips in your muscle tissue. So you broke down first to then gain strength. This is the same thing in business. You're going to get broken down a bit, and then that's how you're going to become stronger and smarter and more skilled. And that's where you're really going to learn the most, is when things aren't going well. So embrace it. You're not dumb. You didn't make mistakes. You're not, nobody's smarter than you. Nobody's better than you. You're just going through what you have to go through in order to become the highest version of yourself. So embrace it. Love it. I love it when I'm going up against a challenge and when the chips are against me. It's when I'm at my best.
So what would you say? So why would you think people fail in business?
They don't have persistence and discipline. They are not constantly evolving in their learning. They're not hungry for knowledge. If you're in business, I mean, if you're not reading or studying or learning in your field for 30 to 60 minutes per day, you got a tough slog ahead of you. it's not going to be all that great because you're not evolving and learning. You're only acting off the current knowledge and experience that you have. What you have is it's it's just not simply enough to get you to where you want to be. So we need to be constantly reading and learning and emulating people that have walked the path before you. Do you have a coach? Do you have somebody that's done what you want to do that could give you the, advice and help you tweak your plan? Find that person. They're out there. They want to help you. People want to pour into other people. You might have to pay them. You probably should pay them. Sometimes it can work out where you can catch somebody that doesn't need or doesn't want the money and they'll be willing to mentor you. Those are few and far between. So shell out the cash, invest into yourself. There's no greater investment you'll ever make than investing into your own skills. I'm a multimillionaire because I've invested so heavily into myself. I can't quantify it. That's the problem. I don't know how much I've made from what I've invested in myself. I know exactly how much I've made from my stocks, my crypto, my real estate. I don't know how much I made from the real estate between my ears. However, I do know that that's the responsible for the greatest amount of wealth creation that we've been able to do.
So what other stuff that you're working right now at the moment?
So I started Indestructible Wealth, my financial coaching brand, about a year and a half ago. I had built up a successful direct sales business. I had built up a real estate company. Still, that still has a lot of room to grow. There's a lot of things that we can do better and optimize. But I built it up to the point where I realized that I wanted to do something where I'm mentoring and teaching and training younger entrepreneurs, younger professionals how to grow wealth. Essentially, I'm 44, so I wanted to be able to have a chance to speak to my 22-year-old younger self that I never was able to have these types of conversations with because I don't have a time machine, unfortunately. If I did, I'd go back in time and I'd talk to my 22-year-old self. But since I don't have that option, I want to talk to other people that are in that kind of same stage where they're trying to figure the game of business and money out. They just need somebody to help to guide them. So I created this platform as a way to mentor and teach and train and help pour into other people what I've learned. And also, it's a great platform for me to help promote my other 4 companies. So my Indestructible Wealth is my marketing brand that I've created. And I believe digital branding, personal branding, digital marketing is going to be content creation where you're providing good quality, valuable content to help other people solve a problem. Over the next decade, it's only going to get bigger and bigger and more important as part of your overall marketing strategy to grow everything that you're doing. So this to me is a play, and I'm in stage 1, Richard, in this business. I mean, it's tough. I'm in stage 1. I'm putting in 10 units of work and I'm getting a half unit of pay. All right. But I do know, I have a long-term vision for where this is going. I know exactly where I'm going with it. I know what my message is, who it's for. So I'm just going to keep putting it out there because I'm competing with Tony Robbins, Dave Ramsey, Grant Cardone, Ed Milet. I'm competing with all of them for everybody's attention. It's very difficult. I mean, it's very difficult to break in. So the prize is worth the promise because now I've got a marketing channel that can then bring partners in for my direct sales business. Those that are, just really getting started that are younger that want to make more money and they're interested in nutrition. I can help them, right? I can help them make more money. I can help investors get into real estate. I can help them buy property and self-storage and turnkey real estates, single family rental property. I can help them mine Bitcoin if they want. That takes a year to set up all the things that you need to be able to mine Bitcoin successfully. I got that figured out. It took us a year. It was very hard. It took us, our parts were stuck in China for months. But we got that. So now investors, if they want to come in and mine Bitcoin with me, their machine will be right next to mine on the rack. They're going to pay a little bit more than I did, right? Because I'm marketed up for a profit, but they're still getting a very fair deal. And that's the way I look at like what I'm doing with this to feed all the other channels. And I think that anybody listening that's an entrepreneur strongly needs to consider their own content creation play the long game, play it for the next 5 years, and you're going to be pleasantly surprised at how your life transforms by helping other people transform their lives.
Where can people find you on social media or the internet?
Well, the best way is just go to my website, myindestructiblewealth.com. It's got my blog, which my blogs are ridiculously good, Richard. I'm just going to say it. It's packed with personal stories, sarcasm, some explicit language occasionally if to really catch somebody and make a point. Not too much, just enough. And so yeah, my blogs, my podcast is right there. I also have I wrote a book called the Building Indestructible Wealth. It's the 6-figure earner's guide to building a multi-million-dollar portfolio. It's only $4.95 instantaneous download with the audio book. I have 2 courses as well on my site that they can take that are affordable that will teach them finance and how to build wealth. And it's my exact playbook that I've used. And then in addition, I do one-to-one financial coaching. I have a 90-day blitz promotion going on right now where they can work with me one-to-one for pretty I would say very, very fair price based on what I bring to the table. They can work with me in a very intimate setting and really dive into their own plan. I work with people that I'm working with a kid who has $20,000 to work with, and I got a couple that make $600,000 a year. I can teach either set. Depending on their situation, I can teach them what to do. So yeah, I mean, primarily social channels, Richard, is Instagram. It's just Indestructible Wealth. And then LinkedIn. It's just my name. I'm on there as Jack Gibson. So yeah, come find me, come interact, come ask questions. I answer everybody's questions that messages me. I don't ever leave anybody hanging. I mean, unless they ask me a question like, hello, how are you? Don't you get those all the time? Hello, how are you? Like, come on. Like, what? I don't want to interact with you. I'm too busy. You're selling me something.
All right. So I'll have the information on the show notes. So for people who want to get in touch with you. So at the end of the podcast and the recording, because it's audio and video.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot, Jack, for being here and accepting my invitation. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Pleasure.
It was really fun talking to you, and I got a lot of insights, and I hope the listeners and the viewers are going to get some great insights out of that. I know I did. So thank you, Jack, once again. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching to this podcast. Welcome to A Better Lifestyle. My guest today was Jack Gibson, and my name is Richard, and thank you for listening and watching, and we'll see you on the next episode, everybody. Bye. Thanks, Jack.
Thank you.
No problem.